Who are the players in the NFL most poised for a breakout in 2025? Every year in the NFL, there are multiple players who improve massively from one year to the next, either becoming players they were promised to be or massively exceeding previous expectations. This could be making an immediate impact as a rookie, recovering from a sophomore slump, finally putting it together maybe years into your career, and everything in between. So today, I'll be going over 3 potential breakout candidates from every NFL team, almost 100 players, and ranking them on how likely they are to break out, because as fans, we all like to say we saw the breakout coming. These aren't the 3 most likely breakout candidates from each team, but they are, I think, the 3 most interesting cases to look at. There are also a range of players from rookies all the way to veterans, and the tiers I'll be ranking these players into are as follows. At the top, we have the breakout tier. These are guys who I think are primed to break out this year and will do so. The next tier down, we have emergent. So not a total breakout. They might have a decent to good year this year, but not that full-blown breakout that we're hoping or expecting. The next tier down is the not yet tier. Someone who I think could still eventually have a breakout. That talent and that promise is there, but I don't think this will be their year. This might be quite rookie heavy, but I don't know where I'm going to rank these players yet, so we will see on that one. Then the next tier down, we have unlikely. A breakout is possible, but I just don't think it's very likely either this year or really beyond that. And finally, at the bottom, we have the straight up no. No breakout has happened. It has not happened yet. I don't think it's going to happen this year. I don't think it's ever going to happen. And I'm going to rank them loosely enough within these tiers. Definitely at the top of the breakout tier to give us ultimately, at the end of the video, a top 10 most likely breakout tier list. And I'm going to go through these teams alphabetically, starting with, of course, the Arizona Cardinals. And what a better way to start it than with Marvin Harrison Jr. Him and Kyler Murray last year were simply not on the same page. The back shoulder fades in particular, which is a route that a receiver like Marvin Harrison Jr. needs to kind of feast off of. He's not going to be a Malik Neighbors and win with agility. He needs to win by being that big-bodied receiver who can make those catches in a contested manner. And by not having those back shoulder fades on lock with your quarterback, missing out a massive part of Marvin Harrison's game and a big part of his potential. And that chemistry between the wide receiver and the quarterback was off, honestly, all year. Kyler Murray does run hot and cold. It's definitely partially on him, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is not remiss of any of that blame either. Hopefully, though, he will have a better year. The Cardinals have a better year. Kyler Murray will have a better year. And I think 886 yards, which is what Marvin Harrison had receiving-wise, isn't bad in a vacuum, but for a receiver like Marvin Harrison Jr., as hyped as Marvin Harrison Jr., I think it's definitely fair to say that was an underwhelming season and definitely not a breakout season that we were expecting from Marvin Harrison Jr. And I think this year, he is, though, poised for that breakout. He's put on more muscle this offseason. You can see photos of him from this year to last year. He looks a lot bigger, which I don't think is not necessarily a good thing, but I think, again, to have a bit more muscle to understand that the NFL is a step up in physicality and you're playing against bigger, more athletic players. Having that muscle isn't a bad thing, I think. It might make him a little bit less agile, but that's not how he wins anyway. If that helps him if the extra muscle helps him win deeper down the field with those contested catches, then I am all for it. But Kyler and the Cardinals need to unlock Marvin Harrison Jr. if they want to take that next step as a team, not just being that mid-team literally mid-team, not just picking in the mid-teens, but just being mid. Then they need Marvin Harrison Jr., their first-round pick from last year, to become that guy. And I think, though, that it's going to be an inevitability. I think it does take at least a few weeks for a lot of rookie receivers to really put it together. And Marvin Harrison Jr. was obviously no exception to that. I think he will bounce back. I think he will have a lot better of a year. And I think a lot better of a year will be 1,000 yards, which to me is a breakout. Next, we have Darius Robinson, their draft pick from a few years ago, their second first-round pick in that draft class. They also need a big step from Darius Robinson to fix what was previously, they've brought in a lot of free agent acquisitions, but what was previously a very weak defense. He had a calf injury, so didn't play until week 13 and missed key development time as a player who I think was overdrafted and really needed that development, frankly. He finished the season with 2 pressures and 1 sack from only 120 pass rush snaps and a pass rush win rate of 3.4%. Not a breakout. Definitely not a breakout. Now, he did hardly play. I don't want to hold that against him too much, but I think he shouldn't have really gone in the first. He's a bit of a tweener. Does he play inside? Does he play outside? And I think now he is, though, going to go to an improved defense, right? They've brought in Josh Sweat, they've brought in Calais Campbell, Dalvin Tomlinson. So it's not just going to be on Darius Robinson's shoulders, which I think is important. I'm not sold on the player, frankly. I think we'll see an improvement, but I don't think it will even be an emergence, really. I'm going to put it for the time being, because I didn't love him in the draft either. I'm going to put him in that unlikely tier. Walter Nolan, the final player for the Arizona Cardinals. Another defensive addition, not in free agency, but in the draft this year. He was my 41st ranked player, so I was slightly lower on him than consensus. The talent for Walter Nolan is absolutely there 100%. When he wins, he wins. He had a rep against Georgia where he detonated an entire side of an offensive line. That's what he's got in his basket. But he is still working on putting all of that together, really. And I think we'll definitely see flashes, but not the full product and not consistently. So I'm going to put that one in the either will be the top end of not yet. Well, even the top end of not yet. I think it might take him a year or two to really put it all together. So even an emergence, I think, might be a little bit rich. But I do not doubt the talent whatsoever there from Walter Nolan, whereas I am for Darius Robinson. Well, not the talent, but the ultimate end product. Michael Penix Jr. for the Falcons. The breakout darling, really, ahead of this season, upcoming season. He had a breakout game against Carolina, 312 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 big-time throws. He was absolutely spinning it. A big-time throw is a tight window throw deep down the field. And we saw that aggressive downfield passing ability, saw his strong arm, his great ball placement. But we also saw the kind of warts to his game, not in the Panthers game specifically, but throughout his time playing towards the back half of last season. We saw bad footwork resulting in spotty accuracy, basically him being a rookie quarterback and the mistakes a rookie quarterback generally tends to make. He's in a great situation, though. He's got Drake London, obviously, one of the best receivers in the league, I think. Darnell Mooney, he's got a good offensive line. He's got Bijan Robinson. He's got Kyle Pitts. Can I say that at this point? In the year of our Lord 2025? Probably not. He's not on this list, Kyle Pitts, but I wouldn't put him any higher than unlikely for what it's worth. But it's very similar to the Washington offense, where he had 3 great weapons in Polk, obviously Romadunze and McMillan. So having those 3 weapons in Mooney, in London, and in Bijan, I think it's like he's already it's like that natural step up from him in college, really. And I think the breakout is almost inevitable. It's really just a question of, because I think we saw it, right, in that Panthers game. 7 big-time throws, you don't do that by luck. Like, he was spinning it, genuinely spinning it. The windows that he was fitting the ball into in that game blow my mind, really do. So it is a question of how big of a breakout will it be? Is it going to be taking Atlanta to the playoffs and making a bit of a push, or will it be, okay, next year's really our year? I'm gonna put him tentatively behind Marvin Harrison Jr. I feel a little bit more confident about receiver's ability, or Marvin Harrison. No, I'm gonna put Penix ahead. He's not gonna end up 1, but I'm gonna put Penix ahead. I do feel pretty confident about him being a good quarterback this year. Jalen Walker, he was the 15th pick this year in the draft for the Falcons. The first of 2 first rounders, and there's big expectations being drafted 15th overall to a bad defense. You're expected to really turn that defense around. I think he was my 38th ranked player in this draft on my big board, so he was not a first rounder for me. I was lower on him than consensus. And that's because I saw him as a jack of all trades, master of none. He's a good blitzer, but not a good pass rusher. He's explosive, but not quick. He plays linebacker in college, but can't cover. Presumably he'll play more full-time edge rusher, or maybe a bit of like a joker role. He'll move around the defense a bit. There's flashes there, definitely, but wasn't enough for me to feel confident about drafting him in the first round. Clearly the Falcons did feel confident about that. I think that a breakout this year for Walker is unlikely, given that I think I didn't see that consistency in college. And I think a step up in the NFL is going to make the chance of him putting things together consistently even harder. So I will put him though ahead of Jalen Walker. I think ahead of Darius Robinson. I think he is more talented than Robinson. James Pierce Jr. though, someone I felt better about. He was the 26th overall pick in the draft this year, first round. He was my 12th ranked player. I loved James Pierce Jr. I was higher on him than consensus. I thought he was explosive, juiced up pass rusher with an elite first step. And I'm talking like NFL level elite, not just college elite. That's going to play immediately. And I think he's got surprising strength for a lighter pass rush. I think he kind of plays above his size in that regard. I think the draft position versus Jalen Walker will impact his opportunity. It will be kind of Walker will be the guy, and James Pierce Jr. will be the Robin to his Batman, if you will. And I think that might hinder him initially. He might be more of a designated pass rusher as well. They might want Walker against the run. But I think we will see an emergence from James Pierce Jr. with a full-blown breakout maybe next year. I think James Pierce Jr. is simply better than Jalen Walker. So I think he's going to be better. Rashad Bateman. I mean, we've been waiting for this guy's breakout since 2021. He did have his best year in 2024. 51 receptions, 841 yards, 11 touchdowns. Signs of an emergence there, I guess we could say. The Ravens, though, are a run-first team. They've also then got Zay Flowers and DeAndre Hopkins. Will Bateman be able to carve out a role from what is, relatively speaking, quite a limited passing opportunity? I think he could, honestly, at this point in his career, beat out DeAndre Hopkins, but the name recognition there alone and him being such a savvy veteran will count for a lot. And Bateman hasn't really shown that much, if we're being honest with ourselves. The talent is there. I don't know. I think I'm going to put Bateman in unlikely. Honestly, I don't know if we're going to see an improvement from last year, which I wouldn't really class as a breakout anyway. So I'm going to put him in unlikely for now. I mean, I say for now. He's not getting any younger. Malachi Starks. What you need to understand about the Ravens is that from weeks 1 to 10, their secondary was Eddie Jackson, Marcus Williams at safety, and Brandon Stevens at cornerback. And they were an absolutely diabolical defensive trio. It was so bad. They had to move Kyle Hamilton back to safety and put Ardarius Washington in there as well. So Kyle Hamilton at strong, Ardarius Washington at free safety. Starks will now play that free safety role. Ardarius Washington is injured, and I think he's going to thrive there, frankly. That's the perfect role for him. He is not a Kyle Hamilton. He's not going to play at the line of scrimmage and make those kind of, have him rushing the passer, have him as a downhill thumper in the run game. He's not that guy. He is, though, that ranging guy, in that deep area of the field who can just pick off balls with amazing ball skills, great game IQ, can trigger downhill. Him with Kyle Hamilton, I think, makes a arguably, I think, the best safety duo in the NFL, really. He was the 10th ranked player on my board. I absolutely loved him. I think he's a modern safety, can align anywhere, play in the slot. He's got man coverage ability, very useful as well. If you do want to drop Kyle Hamilton back to play a different role, you can have Malachi Starks come up and guard the slot man to man if needs be. And I think just that game IQ, 3 years of experience at Georgia. And I think it shows in the way he plays the game. I think it's a great fit in the Ravens defense. And I think he's going to hit the ground running. I'm going to say that he's going to break out this year. He might not get the praise because he's a safety and they're not on your screens when you're watching the broadcast angle, especially someone like Starks who will play deeper. But he's going to be damn good, I think, in a damn good defense. Nate Wiggins, pretty similar story. The defensive change they made after week 10 also included an increase in man coverage, which played perfectly into Nate Wiggins' hands. And I think it will stay that way. From what the change they made towards the end-ish of last season, I think will be how the defense looks at the beginning of this season. And Nate Wiggins just got better as the year went on. He added 10 pounds of muscle this offseason. It's going to help with the physical nature of the Ravens defense, which it really prides itself on. And he had 1 interception, 8 pass breakouts last year. If he gets a few more interceptions, a lot more people are talking about Nate Wiggins a lot more positively. And I think they already were, and they could do so even more if he just gets his hands, or keeps his hands rather, on 1 or 2 more of those. And man, he's off. I think he's primed for a breakout again on a great defense, on a great team. Yeah, I'll put him next to Starks. I think they're both going to benefit from the same thing, really. Keon Coleman wasn't a great rookie campaign, and there's going to be a theme of this with rookie or now second-year wide receivers. They either did really well or they did not do very well, and Keon Coleman, unfortunately, falls into that second bracket there. He competed for a wide open outside wide receiver spot in Buffalo. They're crying out for one. They've got a million slot players. They've got Khalil Shakir. They have Dalton Kincaid as that big slot. They've got so many slot receivers. Curtis Samuel. They don't need any more. They needed a guy that could play out wide. And Coleman, who is a bigger bodied, 6'4", 215 pounds, should have been that guy. And he really wasn't, right? He didn't make an impact. 500 yards, 5 drops, 13.5% drop rate. The game was simply too fast for him. When a receiver is dropping that many balls, to me, it suggests that obviously, there's an issue with concentration, yes, but it's really almost like an overthinking. There's too many things going on that they can't just concentrate on catching the ball. They're worried about where the defender is, where the sideline is, where the first down marker is. The game was too fast for him, really. And he has the size, as I said. The drop issue in college wasn't a thing. So it's not that it's been something that we could have been aware of. It's not that he had bad hands in college, but I wasn't massively high on him as a player. Really, is the fundamental issue with Coleman for me. The outside wide receiver spot is still open, though. He's just got to beat out Josh Palmer, Elijah Moore, Laviska Shenault. That should be pretty easy. Actually, Elijah Moore, I like that player. I'd like to shout him out quickly. But I'm just not sold on the player. Really, I'm not sold on the player. I'm going to put him kind of next to Bateman, really. I think Bateman will be better this year than Coleman. So I'm going to leave Keon Coleman there. I'm just not sold on the player, frankly. Maxwell Hairston. I'm not a big Hairston guy. He was my CB8 in the draft. He is a zone ball hawk, 6 interceptions, 9 pass breakups in the last 1.5 seasons. He is great at driving on throws quickly. He's got, obviously crazy speed, ran a 4.28 40, and he's got that short area burst, but he missed time due to injury. He's got a slender frame. He's got the speed, but takes a while to kind of get up to that speed in game situations, that is. And I think he's quite grabby as a corner, which is often the case for rookie cornerbacks, but you get penalized for that pretty heavily in the NFL, and it's a pretty annoying penalty to keep being charged with. And I can kind of see him getting exposed in a Trayvon Diggs, Emmanuel Forbes kind of collaboration kind of way, being a bit of a lighter guy who kind of likes to trigger downhill a bit too quickly. I can see that really getting him, really. And I don't want to call him a bust because he hasn't even played it down in the NFL. But I can see trouble on the horizon for Hairston, I think. And the Bills are no strangers to this potential with first-round cornerbacks, which I'll talk about in a second with Dorian Strong. But I'm not going to say no because that's hot. That's just simply too harsh about a rookie. But he's going to go at almost the bottom of unlikely for me, I think. Now, Dorian Strong. I wanted to pair these two together because, yes, but Bills fans, you've got two young players and unlikely, but hear me out with Dorian Strong. I wanted to pair Strong and Hairston because they're in the same draft class. Dorian Strong from Virginia Tech was a player that I was much higher on than where he was drafted. For me, he was a third-round guy, ended up going in the 6th round. He's a press man cornerback. He's smooth. He's patient. He's proven. He's got that experience. His tape speaks for itself. But it is an eerily similar situation drafting Hairston and Strong this year, 2025. Eerily similar to the 2022 draft class, where Kaiir Elam, the cornerback that I was suggesting about earlier, the problem with the Bills' first-round corners. Kaiir Elam was drafted in the 1st, and Christian Benford was drafted in the 6th. Benford now is one of the better cornerbacks in the league. He's the CB1 for Buffalo with a bullet. He's a fringe top 10 cornerback in my eyes. I know as number 47, I know he's a 6th rounder. People need to be on the Christian Benford hype. Kaiir Elam is no longer with the team. And I can see a jarringly similar storyline writing itself with Hairston and Strong, frankly. So I don't think it's going to happen this year. I think it's going to be hard for a 6th round rookie cornerback to see the field and as a 1st round rookie already there. They're not going to bench Hairston 7 weeks in, if we're being honest with ourselves. But I am saying 1 to 2 years out, we could see something. So I'm going to put Dorian Strong in not yet. And that's because I think that there's potential there, absolutely. Tetairoa McMillan. My wide receiver 1, without a shadow of a doubt, in this year's draft. He was my 3rd ranked player, 6'4", 220 pounds, but he plays like a 6 foot, 195 pound wide receiver. He's so good with the ball in his hand, so good at creating missed tackles. He is just behind Malik Neighbors in career yards after the catch in college with 967 in just 2 years. People think he's a Mike Evans. He's not a Mike Evans. He's almost like a Brandon Ayuk kind of receiver, a CeeDee Lamb kind of receiver. He's that kind of guy. And he's got a massive catch radius, great ball skills, 3-level threat, good after the catch. He's just a wide receiver 1 for a team that desperately needs it, for a quarterback in Bryce Young, which desperately needs it. He's going to get the target share. He's going to get himself the ball. He's going to make plays with the ball. Rookie breakout year coming. And I feel better about it than Marvin Harrison Jr., honestly. There's a little doubt in my mind about Harrison Jr. Leggett is a very similar story to Keon Coleman. He's a big-bodied wide receiver with lots of potential and an opportunity for playing time, but he had drop issues last year. 8 drops, 14% drop rate, literally lost the game against the Eagles with the drop at the end of that game. Heartbreaking for the Panthers as a team that I've got a bit of a soft spot for. I was not happy about that. He didn't live up to expectations. He just didn't live up to expectations. And the warning signs were there, I think, with Leggett. He was a 5th-year breakout, no real production to speak of before then. And it's a hard transition for a player like that to the NFL, where you are bigger, you are older, you are stronger than the sometimes 18-year-olds you're playing against in college. You then next year in the NFL, you're against men. So it's a lot harder in that regard. And I think he's naturally more suited to being a wide receiver too than he is to being the guy. And I think it's going to be an intriguing pairing with McMillan, two bigger receivers for a smaller quarterback. And I'm higher on Leggett than I am Coleman. So I think we'll see a tentative emergence with Leggett this year, I think. Nick Scouton, he was the second round pick this year. I flip-flopped on Scouton on my rankings with him. Ultimately ended up having him at the back end of the first round at 26th overall. That's because he had an amazing 2023 with Purdue. 42 pressures, 8 sacks, a 20.1% pass rush win rate, but then transferred to Texas A&M and production just fell off a cliff. Played a completely different role, made him play a lot higher of a weight, had to play the run first. It was not a good season for Nick Scouton. And I'm banking basically on the Panthers getting the Purdue version. At the combine already, Scouton was down back to like a normal playing weight or his normal playing weight. He's not going to be like the guy on the defensive line, which doesn't really have any guys at the moment, but I think we will nevertheless see an emergence from Nick Scouton. Caleb Williams. Chicago Bears, congratulations on third year now in a row of winning off-season winners. It's a shame it never really translates, but this year it might. And I think it's because we're going to see a huge leap from Caleb Williams. Nightmare season last year, right? Let's just get it over with. I'm not making any excuses, any apologies for last year for the Bears and for Caleb Williams. Yes, he only threw 6 interceptions. Bears fans, I know you love pointing that out. His time to throw was over 3 seconds. He wasn't seeing the field. He didn't throw any interceptions because he didn't throw the damn ball. And that went up to 3.8 seconds on play action under center. The whole point of play action is it draws the linebackers down for you to then throw a ball over the top of them, basically behind them. If you hold on to the ball for 4 seconds, the linebackers have plenty of time to get back to their depth. And that's why Caleb Williams wasn't throwing the damn ball, because there are defenders all over the spots where he needs to throw it. So it was a disaster. 7th in allowed pressures, 27th in big time throw rate, which for a quarterback like Caleb Williams, who played hero ball in USC, is a massive drop off. That was only slightly more than Tim Boyle, okay? He had no coaching, a bad offensive line. He was taking sacks on 4th down in the 4th quarter. Total car crash. Culture was terrible. It was a complete mess. Wasn't too hard to watch tape. Ben Johnson, though, is going to fix all of the above. Already, reports are out that he's shouting at the offense, taking them out because they can't get lined up properly. That is what the Bears need. That is what Caleb Williams need. I'm not overreacting to that going, oh, they're bad. Ben Johnson's just bringing standards to an organization which hasn't had them for years. And that's what it needs. That's what Caleb needs. He needs coaching. He needs structure. He needs organization. Ben Johnson's going to fix that. He had Jared Goff looking like a top 10 quarterback. His offense thrives off play action. He's going to fix the play action stuff. Offensive line has improved massively. Incredible weapons, which I'll talk about in a second. Poised for a huge year. I think it's coming. I'm going to put him at the top. I'm going to put him even ahead of Michael Penix Jr. Please, Caleb, don't let me down. Rome Odunze. Simple, this one. Disappointing rookie year with a bad team. We've already gone over it. With better quarterback play, better scheme, better play calling, we're going to get a better Rome Odunze. I think absolutely. I think he's going to go off in the red zone this year. I think Ben Johnson's going to have a lot of plays for him where he's going to pick up huge chunk plays, huge touchdowns. It's going to be a breakout. I'll put him with McMillan. I'll put him with McMillan. Loveland, drafted with the 10th overall pick this year. Given to a coach who loves using 2 tight ends. He's going to be on the field all the damn time. He's going to be the big slot receiver. He's going to be the tight end. Might even be a wide receiver sometimes. Line up out wide. Wherever they line him up, he's going to produce. Lots of mouths to feed, though, in that Bears offense. They've got the run game. They've got DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Luther Burden if he plays. But I think he's going to be the guy who Ben Johnson will scheme open. We're going to see like tight end leaks all the time, and he's just going to be wide open out there. So, again, another breakout will put him ahead of Rome Odunze, I think. Jamar Stewart. The Bengals are a mess. Let's just quickly go over this then. And, color me surprised that the Bengals have completely botched their rookie, which they desperately need. The TLDR of the contract situation is that Shamar is holding out because of a stipulation about the guaranteed money in his contract in extreme scenarios, which is that If there is a serious violation, like arrest or he's kicked off the team, he doesn't get his guaranteed money. Now, it might seem on the surface like Shamar is then being precious. Why would you think you're going to get arrested? Well, really, that's never happened before. That kind of language in a contract hasn't been there with any other first rounders, hasn't been there with any other rookies. They're basically expecting Stewart to break precedent, which I actually agree with. I think, look, he's a stronger man than me. I'd take the money and be all right with it, but I think he's taking a stand. I don't think that's a bad thing. Really, the organisation is the villain here, I think. The Bengals are a notoriously cheap organisation. It's just as easy for them to just take that part out of the clause and Shamar will sign on the dotted line. And really why this is such a bad situation isn't just because it's messy and it brings unwanted attention to the organisation, but because the Bengals need Shamar Stewart to be an immediately good player, especially in the light of now the TJ Watt contract and Trey Hendrickson almost definitely not going to be a Bengal in the long term. They've paid Joe Burrow, they've paid Jamar Chase, they've paid T. Higgins. They can't afford the new price tag of Trey Hendrickson, which is why owners, GMs, whoever it is that's doing it, sign your players early, do us all a favour. But the problem is that Shamar isn't going to be an immediately good player. He has the physical tools of Tarzan, but the mental understanding of pass rushing as Jane. He needs the development. He needs to be at rookie minicamp, which he's missing. He needs to be at training camp, which he's missing. He needs those things so badly. As someone that needs the reps, needs the experience, he's getting nothing. He's getting absolutely nothing. He's getting as much experience as I am right now for the Bengals, which is crazy. I don't think it's going to happen this year. And frankly, with how it's gone, I think it's unlikely that it's ever going to happen, really. Unfortunately, he was already someone like that I thought could kind of be a little bit like it was either a Trayvon Walker or a Tyree Wilson. And really with this, I think he's going to be trending more down the Tyree Wilson path than the Trayvon Walker path. Players that miss out on their rookie seasons struggle, and Shamar Stewart needed that. It's ugly. Demetrius Knight, he's a second-round pick this year, hard-hitting, downhill, old-school linebacker. The Bengals need to get better against the run. Demetrius Knight is going to do that. But linebackers are targeted in the modern NFL, especially in the passing game, and I think he's going to struggle in that regard. Rookie linebackers usually do, and understandably so. I don't think it's going to be this year. I'm going to say not yet for now. We'll put him there. Jermaine Burton, I have to throw this guy in there, man. He was my wide receiver 5 with an asterisk in last year's loaded wide receiver class. On the field, he's absolutely electric, or was absolutely electric. Off the field, he's a goddamn moron, it seems. He punched a fan in the face in college. He has a poor work ethic in the NFL. Apparently, one time in 1 week, they were going to have a playbook almost directly for him when there were certain injuries, and he was at like the casino or something. He just doesn't have his head screwed on. Really doesn't have his head screwed on. And that wide receiver 3 spot is there for the taking, but Yoshivas is winning it. And like, I hope he can put it all together. But if I'm being honest with myself, it's hard for a player now to turn that around. So I'm going to put it in no. Him and no. Dylan Gabriel. The Browns QB situation, which at the moment, they've still got 4 on the roster. If you have 4 quarterbacks, you really have 0, right? Gabriel is probably going to be the most likely week 1 starter. It seems to be. He was drafted in the 3rd round. He was their first choice of quarterback. He's a point-and-shoot quarterback. He's very experienced. He can operate Kevin Stefanski's offense. He won't elevate it, but he can operate it how it needs to be operated. I think the Browns, though, are going to be horrible. I think the offense is going to be passing a lot. I think they're going to be behind. I think the offensive line isn't going to be great. I think they're going to struggle against pass rushing, where they're going to be able to pin their ears back because they're down by multiple scores. The weapons, I think, are subpar, and he's a smaller quarterback too. It's not looking good, Brev. It's not looking good. If you're from the UK, I'll get that reference. If not, sorry. Shadur Sanders, infamous fall to pick 144 overall in the 5th round. Many people's QB2 and a first-round player. I really did not see it. Not to do a victory lap, because we don't know what it's going to be like, but he was outside my top 50. I just think he's a worryingly low quarterback because of his lack of ceiling. He's got a worryingly low ceiling, and he's got no physical tools. No, his accuracy is not like that of Joe Burrow. Do not comment that, please. Issues with his dad, obviously, the league clearly agreed. I think he will be the reserve QB3. I know he's a rookie. I'm going to put him in no, though, because I just don't see it happening. I'm going to be honest, I just don't see it happening. Mason Graham. He was their first-round pick. My 5th-ranked player. He's a human pit bull, short, strong, flexible, good core, wrestling background, which we love for offensive and defensive linemen. Good versus the run, good versus the pass. I've slightly mellowed on him now. I used to think he was in that Quinnen Williams kind of tier, and I think he's not in that tier, but I think he could be at his high end like a Christian Wilkins, which is definitely a very good player. Don't get me wrong. Nevertheless, I think he's going to be very effective playing next to Myles Garrett, who, my God, will draw 3 players, right? A double team and a chip while he's at it. So Mason Graham's going to have some favourable matchups from time to time. We might not see it all in year 1, though. So I will put him in emergence, and I'll put him ahead of Nick Skoughton and Leggett as well. I think that is fair. Sam Williams for the Cowboys. A name that people might not know, but he's very athletic, good size, with an elite speed grade per MathBomb RAS score, which is what you need to have as a great pass rusher in the NFL, I think. He had a potential breakout, or he might have had a breakout last year, but it was cut short due to a knee injury in training camp, so he didn't play at all. But again, a bit like Mason Graham, he's playing opposite Micah Parsons, who is going to draw a lot of attention. He's been decent so far throughout his career, don't get me wrong, a short career. But I think we could see an emergence from Sam Williams this year. Again, maybe not a full-blown breakout, but we could see something to get us a little bit interested in what we're seeing there. Jaden Blue, big work in progress, but high upside home run threat potential. He needs to be in a rotational backfield, which he's in. He's got Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders in there. And I think that those two, he can carve out a role there with those. There's no kind of Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey kind of guy there. I think both of those guys are guys that you would feel okay with trying out a rookie if he's showing you a lot. We'll say that. He, in that rotational backfield, though, can just be the home run guy. You don't need to give him 20 carries. You can just give him 7, see what he can do with it. I think, though, he's a year out. I think it's a not yet for Jaden Blue. He's very inexperienced, has a problem with fumbles, which he needs to sort out. So we'll put him in the not yet. But it's something to look out for, Cowboys fans. Jonathan Mingo. No, I don't need to say anything else. It's a hard no. He's going to probably be at the bottom of no. I shake my head. Marvin Mims. Second round pick in 2023, a big my guy in that draft. He showed the ability to be a great deep wide receiver last year, 334 yards, 6 touchdowns in the final 7 games after being in Sean Payton's doghouse in his rookie year. Absolutely missing, back of a milk carton kind of stuff. He runs a 4.38. He can stress and break a defense. The Broncos are looking really strong this year, really strong. And the important aspect of that is obviously the offense. I think the receiving core is probably the weakest position group they have, maybe with the running backs. But the offensive line is great. I think Bo Nix is definitely good enough. And I think Marvin Mims could be a beneficiary of a team which is going to take a big step this year, which already looked really good last year. More chemistry with Bo Nix. I think he could sniff 1,000 yards. Genuinely, I think he could be more than just a deep threat. It's how I saw him personally coming out in the draft 2 years ago. I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna stand on business. Breakout from Marvin Mims. You watch it. Jahdae Barron, great player, great fit, best defense in the league out of one of the better defensive talents in the draft. Make your strengths stronger. You've got Pat Surtain, now you've got a Jahdae Barron as well in the slot. Like, good luck getting open. You need to be 4 deep at wide receiver to get open against the Broncos defense. He's experienced, he's versatile, plays in zone coverage. I think he's going to break out, but I don't think by the nature of the position it will be like a proper breakout. I think it will be an emergence for Jahdae Barron, but a good one. I think we're going to look back and think that Barron was a good player this year and will continue to be almost a bit of an unsung hero for the Broncos defense. RJ Harvey. Broncos fans, this was a huge reach. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care what you think as a Broncos fan about this. That is, of course, I had him as a 5th rounder. Yeah, look, he's got legit track speed. I mean, he only ran a 4.4, but all right, that's, neither here nor there. He's an explosive play threat, of course, but I think he's got bad play strength. I think he can't work through contact. I think he can't get the hard yards. I think he's only effective in space, which is hard to guarantee, of course. Sean Payton can scheme him up like the best of them, but he's not got great vision, and he's a terrible pass blocker. And pass blocking, which I'll talk about for a rookie later, impacts you massively to get on your ability to get on the field as a rookie. You can't have your quarterback getting blown up, so I know they spent a 2nd rounder on him. I know they'll want to use him, but I think the Broncos backfield is the worst in the NFL right now, honestly, player for player. I'm going to say unlikely, despite, again, I know he was drafted with a 2nd round pick. I know I'll put him at the top of unlikely just to slightly appease the Broncos fans that I can already hear commenting. But I just don't see it. And if I'm wrong, I will happily say I'm wrong. Isaac Teslar, he was the 70th overall pick. I loved him, but he was the 70th overall pick, and the Lions traded up multiple picks for him. The Lions clearly like him, and so do I as a player. I don't like the value, but 3rd round is pretty crazy. I'm worried about the Lions this year. This will be a trend for all three of these players. And the next two guys will help explain that more. But it's a huge bet on Tesla. There's no Ben Johnson. There's no Rantoine Randall, the coaches that make the offense and the receivers be good, frankly. He's very unproven. He's only got 883 career yards. He was mostly a slot guy, but he's not going to play slot for the Lions. That's Amon-Ra St. Brown's position. One of the best pure slot, maybe the best pure slot receiver in the league. He's not unseating him, so he's going to be an outside guy. He's got the body, he's got the physical stature of an X. He's 6'4", 214 pounds, an insane athlete. He's got a 10 relative athletic score. His profile's all over the shop. And what I fear is that the Lions no longer have the coaching ability, the coaches really, to get that potential out of Tesla, which is quite far from being realised, if we're all being honest. I'm going to say he's unlikely. That's good, I think. That's good. Now, Tyreek Williams, first round of this year, and another reach for me. Lions fans, I did not like the draft, and I did not like your draft, I must admit, when you drafted Jack Campbell and Jahmyr Gibbs in that, and I got that wrong. I could be wrong again. I'm just calling it how I see it, but I just think that a run-stuffing defensive tackle who's, good against the run, but not great against the pass, like not a finesse player in any way. He's kind of a high floor, low ceiling guy. I think getting that guy in the first, a bit of a reach. And he's going to have to start. He can't just be we'll put him in on 3rd and long and he can just plug the gap and be a really solid player. Because Lynn McNeil's going to miss either the first few months or the whole season with ACL surgery. So he's going to be the guy. He's going to have to start. He's going to have to rush the passer, which I don't think he's equipped to do. And yes, of course, Aiden Hutchinson will be there. He'll be terrorizing guys, right? He's not on the list. He already broke out. Okay, he had a crazy season. But I think that's a lot on a rookie's plate, and I think it's going to be more than he can deal with. So I will say not yet, to be fair to what he really should be playing, his role that he really should be playing. But I don't think it's going to be this year or in this role at all. Tate Ratledge, he was the 2nd round pick, and I like the player again, but he's going to have to start. He's going to replace Frank Ragnow. He's not going to be able to replace Frank Ragnow. Most veterans won't be able to replace Frank Ragnow, let alone a rookie who often struggle. Offensive line rookies often do. The offensive tackles are strong. Sure, they got Decker, they got Sewell. But the interior offensive line is not looking good. And Jared Goff is a quarterback that is not good against interior pressure. I can see an impending disaster. Again, I'll say not yet. Not because it's the players I have no issue with. Genuinely, they were overdrafted, but it's not about their draft position now. I just don't think they're going to be in a position to succeed this year. So harsh, but how I see it. Edgerrin Cooper, he might have already broken out last year. Might be a bit cheating here from me, but not enough. Not enough people are talking about him, so I'm going to put him in it. He is really good. If you're not already on the Edgerrin Cooper hype, buy your ticket right now because you're going to cash that bad boy in. Trust me. He is so instinctual, so aggressive, but not like overly aggressive. He is powerful as a blitzer. He's quick in chasing down the ball carrier. He's got great sideline-to-sideline speed. I think he could be a potential future All-Pro. I'm not saying this year, but I could see that in his range of outcomes. The sky really is the limit, I think, with Edgerrin Cooper. He's looking really good. He can rush the pass, he can cover, he can stop the run. I think he's going to play even more this year. He's added 20 pounds of muscle. Incredibly underrated, but it's a yes. And it's a high yes as well. I'm going to put him, I'm going to put him high. He's got to be in my top 10 by the end of the video. Tucker Kraft, again, another underrated Packer. Was drafted behind Luke Musgrave in the same draft class, but he's now the tight end 1. 733 yards from 55 receptions. He had 13.3 yards per reception and 8.8 yards after the catch per reception, which was second among all tight ends. He is incredibly efficient. He fights for every yard. He's good with the ball in his hands. I think he could be on that top 5 tight end fringe this year. And I think he's a great fit for the Fleurs offense. He's going to be a yes for me. Less so than Edgerrin Cooper, but I feel good about him breaking out this year, definitely. Matthew Golden, the star boy. First wide receiver drafted since 2002, a 23-year first round wide receiver drought. I was lower on him than consensus. He was my 37th ranked player, obviously taken in the first round. And he's a hard player to evaluate, I think, because he has the route running ability and the hands to be an effective wide receiver. But it's hard to see him being a role player when he's got limited yards after the catch ability in an offense which really kind of not prides itself on that, but likes receivers that can offer that. And he's got drops. I think he's going to be an effective deep threat, which this offense was lacking last year, so he'll immediately bring that kind of element to it. But and he will obviously see a lot of targets. Being that first round wide receiver, he will kind of be the guy, like I said. I mean, ugly number, what is it, 22? But nevertheless, I think there'll definitely be an emergence with Golden. I just don't think there'll be a full-blown breakout. I think really the Packers are a team which wins because of coaching. Offensively, that is, over talent. And I think Golden will be someone that benefits from the coaching rather than the coaching benefiting from Matthew Golden. Texans, my team, Jaden Higgins. Loved Higgins in the draft. Was my wide receiver 3. My 17th ranked player. So excited he's a Texan, even if our offensive line is horrible, which I'll talk about in a second. More of a projection as a player than some other receivers in this draft. I think he had Nico Collins-esque potential. Ironic now that he's playing with Nico Collins. And I think as a wide receiver too, he's going to be really damn good. I think he'll have, some rough spots in his games, but he'll have some massive games as well. And I'm willing to take that when you've got a receiver already on the roster in Nico Collins. So I'm fine with a little bit of up and down from Higgins because we have stability in Nico Collins already. 29% of his targets last year were fade routes. 42 were thrown at him. Only 16 were catchable, and he caught all 16. He's now got CJ Stroud, one of the league's best deep ball throwers, throwing him the ball. That number of catchable passes is going to skyrocket, and Higgins is going to be on the receiving end of those, literally. I think it might take him a year. I think we'll see flashes from Higgins, not a full-blown emergence. I feel better. I'll put him with Golden. I'll put him with Golden for now. Jalen Knoll. He's the second Iowa State wide receiver. Second wide receiver I loved, again, was higher on than most. He was my wide receiver 5, another first-round player for me, 23rd ranked overall. Didn't know they were going to be Texans. I'm elated they are. If I wanted a slot receiver in this draft, I was going to take Jalen Knoll, not America Greg Buka. I think he's explosive. He's a great deep threat. He just understands how to get open down the field. I think he is more of a sure thing in this offense than Higgins out the gate. I think his floor is higher and his ceiling is lower, if that makes sense. I think Knoll is going to come out. He's going to play that Tank Dell role, be in the slot, something that CJ Stroud loved targeting. I know he had a great kind of chemistry with Dell. But Knoll, the way that he gets open down the field is something that CJ Stroud is going to see. And if he's even with someone, Jalen Knoll, CJ Stroud is going to pull that trigger because if he's even, he's leaving. So Knoll, going to go in, yes. And I'll put him with Marvin Harrison. That's how confident, I feel about Jalen Knoll. Arion Tiesri. I love the wide receivers. I hate our offensive line. We have the worst offensive line in the league. I did an offensive line ranking. The Texans, for me, were 32nd. We got rid of our one good offensive lineman in Laramie Tunsil. Arion Tiesri is a rookie. He will see some time, I'm sure. At the moment, he's a backup, but we're going to want to rotate and get our best 5 out there. I think Ursary will probably be one of the best 5, but we're in trouble. We're in real trouble. And I think Ursary will struggle when he plays, because I think he will play. And I think it's very unlikely that he will break out this year. So I'll put him, I'm going to put him behind. Yeah, it's not going to happen this year. It's even behind Gabriel. It ain't happening this year. I'm being realistic with my own team. Latu. Slightly disappointing rookie campaign from him last year. Drafted 15th overall. He was my edge one. Loved his hands. Super active. He improved in the second half of the season. Looked more like the UCLA version of Latu than the first half of the season. New defensive coordinator. Dayo Odeyingbo is gone as well. More opportunities from that defensive line. Lou Anarumo loves getting pressure. There might be more blitzes, more favorable opportunities for Latu. Yeah. A full breakout? Maybe not. But I think we'll see more. From Latu. The lack of power from Latu might kind of cap him, but we'll see a big emergence, I'll say. A.D. Mitchell, another disappointing rookie wide receiver season. Trend, as I said, only 312 yards for A.D. Mitchell. That's ugly. Really liked him coming out. He was my wide receiver 6 in a really strong wide receiver class. Yes, he played with Anthony Richardson, who couldn't hit water if he fell out a boat. But it wasn't just on Anthony Richardson. Yes, he showed flashes of elite agility, elite separation ability versus man coverage, but had huge drop issues, 14.8%. Couldn't separate versus zone coverage, couldn't really find the soft spots in between zone that well. Very inconsistent. I think there were questions of effort on his tape at Texas. I think we kind of almost saw that again in the NFL, really. He needs to show more this year. Otherwise, risks never being an impact starter, which is kind of where he's teetering on, if I'm being honest. He has all the potential in the world, but he's just so far away from really fully realizing that, I think. So I have my reservations, despite the talent clearly being there. I'm going to say an emergence, because if it isn't this year, I don't think it's ever going to happen for him. So I'll put him at the kind of back half of emergence, I would say. Daniel Jones. You might think I'd have Anthony Richardson on this list. I don't, because I don't think he's going to be good. I think he's going to get benched. I think Daniel Jones is going to play. And I think that Daniel Jones, as a very overhated quarterback, is genuinely decent on his day. Will be able to operate this offense the way it needs to be operated. That short passing game, run pass options. He can be that ball carrier if he needs to be. The Colts don't care if he necessarily gets injured like they might do with Anthony Richardson. He's not going to be Sam Darnold in the sense that he's going to be offered a 3-year, $100 million contract. But I think off the back of the season he has with the Colts, I think he could get a 2-year, 25, 30 something million dollar contract. I think he's going to revive his career. Not to the same degree Sam Darnold did, but I think he's going to turn it around in Indianapolis. I think he's going to have a bounce back. I think he's a good fit with the Colts. They got good weapons, good offensive line. And I think Richardson's going to get benched. I'm going to put Daniel Jones, dare I say it, I'm going to put Daniel Jones after the Bears, guys. I think Daniel Jones is going to break out, guys. I think Daniel Jones is going to break out. Cuff me. Come back to this video when it happens. If you don't, you'll be a coward. Brian Thomas Jr. Definitely cheating with this one, I'm not going to lie. There are a few cheats in here. Brian Thomas Jr. is the first of those. He had 1,280 yards last year. He was incredible. One of the best rookie wide receiver seasons I've ever seen. He was just running past guys. He's 6'3", and that 4.3 speed was definitely real. The Colts game, the receiver stretched out. One of the most iconic photos of a rookie receiver maybe ever. Just gobbles up press coverage. He's so good. I think though the reason why I put him on this list is because I think that his rookie season will be his worst season, quote unquote. Like, I think he's only going to get better. So I think he's almost going to have like a breakout after a breakout, if that makes sense. He's got more consistent quarterback play, hopefully, from Trevor Lawrence. He's got Liam Cohen there. He could have Travis Hunter as that kind of wide receiver too. So I'll put him at the back end of breakout because he has already broken out. So it's kind of cheating. But nevertheless, I think that, as I said, he'll have like breakout on a breakout year. Now, Travis Hunter, he could be cornerback or wide receiver breakout. I'm going to focus on wide receiver because I think that's where he's going to mostly play. That's where it kind of points to. And I think he's got potential to be a wide receiver one in his own right. Obviously, Brian Thomas Jr. will be the true one, but Hunter has that talent. And I think that him and Brian Thomas Jr. could be one of the better wide receiver duos in the league. And again, someone like Liam Cohen, who's come from Tampa Bay, from the Chris Godwin, Mike Evans duo, knows how to use two receivers and get the most out of them. I'm going to say a Travis Hunter breakout is definitely happening. And I think he's going to be a top 10 guy as well. I think him and Edgerrin Cooper are right up there for me. Trevor Lawrence, again, maybe he's already broken out, but when I look at his tape, man, I've defended Trevor Lawrence a lot. I've defended him a lot. When I look at his tape, I just see kind of pedestrian quarterback play, if I'm being honest. Like, I keep said, no, it's going to happen next year. No, it's going to happen next year. And it's good. It's fine. It's that, he's fine as a quarterback. I don't think he's bad at all. I wanted more. And he's got Brian Thomas Jr., he's got Travis Hunter, he's got Liam Cohen. As I said, all these three is a running theme here. I'm going to put him in unlikely just because it's been so long, but God, I would like to see something from Travis Hunter. From Trevor Lawrence, rather. If Trevor Lawrence took a step, man, I'd be so happy, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Sky Moore, another no. Arguably worse than Mingo, to be honest. God, Sky Moore, man. He was meant to be so good. He was my wide receiver 3 in that draft class. That was a miss. Omar Norman Lott. One of the best pure pass rushers in this class. 18.9% pass rush win rate, 30.8% pass rush win rate on true pass sets. That's first and third, respectively. He's so good as an interior pass rusher. He might not play every down, but he's going to be playing next to Chris Jones. I think we'll see an emergence from Omar Norman Lott, just because he might not be an every down player, so it might be quite hard for him. But I think we'll see the pass rush definitely translate, because you can't be that good at pass rushing in college and just not be good at that in college, I hope. Jalen Royals, you're not going to be blown away by his profile athletically, but he's a versatile wide receiver who plays above his athletic profile, strong after the catch. Kansas City knows how to use their receivers. I think he'll be a backup this year. He won't see a lot of playing time, so I'll say not yet. But I think it could definitely happen with Royals. Geno Smith, okay, he's already had a breakout. I get it. I know. Another cheat. But people are still underrating this guy. I have Geno Smith as a top 10 quarterback in the National Football League. Sue me, okay? Sue me. I'm going to stand on that, though, and I'm going to tell you why. He's got arrogant arm talent. His pocket movement is amazing. Just step up to avoid the rush. He creates space to make the throws, can hit tight window throws, got an amazing big-time throw rate through the last 3 years. So good at avoiding sacks. Single-handedly kept the Seahawks season afloat last year. Seahawks fans like to blame Geno. No, wrong. Blame your offensive line. Geno Smith was really good. Per Football Reference, he was the most accurate quarterback in the league last year. He's got Brock Bowers, he's got Ashton Genty, he's got Jack Besh, he's got Jacoby Myers, he's got a strong offensive line. Again, I'll put him at the back. I'll put him with Brian Thomas Jr. because he has already broken out. But I just want to put you guys on it that Geno Smith is going to be really damn good this year. So don't say I didn't tell you. Don't say I didn't warn you. Ashton Genty, obvious choice, but has to be done. Best running back prospect since Bijan Robinson. One of the best college football running back seasons of all time. Most rush yards, most yards per attempt, most yards after contact, most missed tackles forced. Name a stat, Ashton Genty leads it in the running back position. He's running behind a good offensive line in an offense which is going to prioritize the run game. This is an easy yes for me. This is more so, this is a top 3. It's almost a banker. No, I mean, I think it's more than Penix. I think he is the most likely. I think he is the most likely, Ashton Genty. He's an amazing prospect. He's a running back. They translate. I'm gonna stand on it. Jackson Powers Johnson, great talent, but was a center in college. Played left guard, center, and right guard last year, so didn't spend a lot of time at his preferred position. And is now going to be playing center full time. So yeah, he struggled. It's hard, not struggled, but he didn't really find his rhythm. It's hard to when you're being moved over the different positions of the offensive line. Yes, they play next to each other, but they're not the exact same. So I think that by nature of him losing 15 pounds, playing centre full time this year, I think we're going to see the real Jackson Powers Johnson. Yes. And the fact that the Raiders have, ahead of Daniel Jones, I think that the fact that the Raiders have 3 players in here, yes, one of them is their quarterback who's already broken out, shows you how high I am on the Raiders this year. Let's just say that. Amarian Hampton for the Chargers. 22nd overall pick, a bell cow downhill thumping running back drafted highly to a team who loves the run game. Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman, plus Joe Alt, plus Rashawn Slater, plus Mekhi Becton, plus Amarian Hampton. 1,000 yards. Easy, right? This guy's got to get 1,000 yards, surely. Come on. I mean, it's the biggest gimme you'll ever have in your life. It's going to a team which loves the run game. He'll be the bell cow. I'm not worried about Najee Harris. I don't think he might hawk a few touchdowns here and there. Might have a few drives a game. Hampton's going to be the guy, I think. And I think he has the ability to be the guy, fluid mover, patient, great after contact. Not one defender's not enough to bring him down. He's another yes. He's one I feel very confident about being a yes. I'll put him just behind Travis Hunter. These top 10 guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Feeling good about my top guys so far. Looking at it, I'm feeling good. Let me know in the comments. Do you feel good about it? Also, if you've got this far, make sure you subscribe. I should have said that at the beginning. Please do subscribe. Mekhi Becton. Already turned his career around in Philadelphia, won a Super Bowl, but still not really found his long-term home. He's a behemoth, 6'7", 364 pounds. That's 91st and 97th percentile, respectively. Much more effective on the inside at guard than he was at tackle. He doesn't have the movement skills. He's a more in the run game, and again, the offense is going to run the damn ball. Might not be a full breakout, because again, I think he's still kind of like finding his feet at a new position, and he's with a new team, new scheme. So I think that a breakout is unlikely, but I think an emergence is definitely on the cards for him. I just think with that physical profile and a team that loves the run game, how could it not be? Taheeb Still, 5th rounder in 2024. He filled in for Asante Samuel Jr. from week 4 onwards after an injury. And really never looked back. He showed he could be an impactful, effective starter in the league. 4 interceptions, 4 pass breakups, great instincts and awareness in zone coverage. And that's what Jesse Minter's defensive system relies on, really. And another year in that system will develop, and it's a hard system to understand and get to grips with. But once you've got it under your belt, you can apply what you've learned and move to different positions, etc., etc., etc. A quiet yes, dare I say, for Tarheeb still. I'll put him towards the back, but a quiet yes. Someone that you need to be on if you're not on. Trust me, I'm helping you understand ball. Terrence Ferguson, 2nd round pick this year for the Rams. He's a balanced tight end, very similar to Tyler Higbee, ironically. Has to beat him out for that starting spot, though. McVay's offense leans very heavily to 11 personnel, 1 running back, 1 tight end. So if he doesn't beat out Higbee, then that might be quite difficult to get on the field. Towards the end of the season, it was moving more towards 12 personnel. We'll see how that goes this season. I think the 2nd round pick suggests that they like him. I'm going to say, though, not yet for now. Right, the Rams are in a Super Bowl window. It might be Matt Stafford's last dance. They're not going to put a guy that they're trying to develop at tight end out there if Tyler Higbee's going to be able to do a more solid job. So for now, I'm going to put Ferguson. I'll put him there in the not yet category. Blake Corum, 3rd rounder in 2024. I thought he'd unseat or at least compete with that starting spot with Kyron Williams. That did not happen. He only had 58 rushing attempts from 207 yards. I think the pass blocking was the issue. As I said earlier, with a quarterback like Matthew Stafford, who has taken his fair share of hits, and when you have a bad offensive line, which because of injuries in LA, you can't then, in good conscience, put your rookie running back to protect your injury-prone old quarterback. You just can't do that. So he didn't see the field. Pass protection matters for running backs, and especially young running backs. Hopefully more of an opportunity, but honestly, I'm not hopeful for Blake Corum. I really am not hopeful. I'm going to put him in unlikely. I put him there. I don't know what it is. The fact that he was used so little, concerns me. Braden Fisk, 2nd round pick last year. People thought that he was slightly better than he was. He had some good stats, finished 3rd in Defensive Rookie of the Year votes. He had 8.5 sacks. Pass rusher, good, absolutely, we can park that. As a run defender, though, he was not good. He missed a lot of tackles. He said himself that he needed to improve in the run game. Poona Ford is a massive get for LA, and the ability just for him to gobble up gaps in the run game, right? It takes Fisk out of that equation to a degree. He's an older prospect, though. 6 years in college. Question of, has he kind of reached his development peak? I think he'll be better this year. The height might be lower, though. Breaking out will definitely help him. We'll say kind of back end of emergence, we'll say, for him. Behind Nick Skoughton, I think. Chop Robinson. It was a tale of 2 halves of the season for Chop Robinson last year. He had 0 tackles, 11 pressures in the first 7 weeks. After that, he just flipped a switch. From weeks 8 to 12, in each game, he had 3 pressures, 3 pressures, 6 pressures, 6 pressures, 10 pressures. Insanely athletic, crazy first step, huge pass rush move development from him. And I think he's still just scratching the surface, genuinely. Last 4 weeks, he was 1st in pressure rate in the NFL at 25.8%. That is bonkers. That is absolutely bonkers. He was 1st in pressures at 25 as well. He, for me, I'm going to put him at number 1. I just think he showed so much potential, so much promise. And the defensive line which has gotten better in a team which is looking to be more physical. Chop Robinson, man. If you don't know, get to know. Kenneth Grant, loved him. My 14th ranked player. He's a strong run defender with good potential as a pass rusher as well. He's an easy projection for me to the NFL. He's a part of the Dolphins who are trying to rebrand to a more physical team, right? A team that can stop the run and run the ball in January, let's say, in the playoffs. And if Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb are healthy and Chop Robinson can take that next step, then Grant could benefit from that. He's got the potential. Does need to be harnessed, that potential, though. So I'm going to say I think he just simply needs more time. I think he'll be good, but I think he needs more time. I am, though, going to put him at the top of not yet, because I think for him it will just be a matter of when, not if. Ollie Gordon, an interesting one. Someone who was really big before the season started in draft spheres. Didn't have a very good season, so fell in the draft. He is, though, part of that physical rebrand. He's 6'1", 226 pounds. That's 95th and 83rd percentile, respectively. And A-Chain and Wright have the speed, obviously the two running backs ahead of him on the depth chart, and they're not giving up those spots, don't get me wrong, they're not going to. But nobody offers what Ollie Gordon offers, which is physicality. I think he could be the red zone guy, the short yardage guy. A Breakout might be rich because of the limited kind of opportunities he'll have in the regard of, like, you know, big home run hits, etc., which will obviously be A-Chain's bread and butter. But I think he's going to get some touchdowns, and he's going to get really important yards on 3rd and 4th down. I think a Breakout, though, might be rich, but I think just watch out for the name. I'm going to put him in unlikely because I just don't think he will break out like that. But don't mistake it for the fact that I think he's bad. I think he'll be good at what he needs to do. I just think it'll be quite a limited role. JJ McCarthy. Under the most pressure for any player in the league, I would say he needs that breakout because, well, the Vikings need that breakout because the Vikings are ready to compete. We saw it with Sam Darnold. They won 14 games last year. And the ironic thing is that I think JJ McCarthy isn't going to win 14 games. I think the Vikings aren't going to win 14 games this year. They might win 10, they might win 11. And I think people will look at it and say, oh, JJ McCarthy is not as good as Sam Darnold. The Vikings made a mistake. And I think that'd be unfair to JJ McCarthy. This is his rookie season, right? I think for a rookie if you're expecting a rookie, essentially, to win 15 games, you've got to give your head a wobble, I think, because that simply is not happening. The real question for me, though, is can McCarthy handle the passing volume of Kevin O'Connell's offense? Sam Darnold had the 8th most dropbacks last year, 585. In McCarthy's career in college, he's only had 481 career dropbacks. That's the question for me, is can he, and also Darnold's ability just to take a shot when he needed to, just throw it up on 3rd and long when you're backed up in your own end zone and JJ and Justin Jefferson can make a play on it. McCarthy needs to do that. He looked good in preseason last year. It is only preseason. He needs the reps. Mistakes will be made. I think he's going to be a good player. I think he will break out this year, relative for a quarterback. I just don't think people will see it as a breakout because I think the Vikings might be a worse team. But I think McCarthy will break out this year. So, and I feel, I think he's better than Jalen Knoll in terms of his breakout. He's going to break out. I just don't think he's going to win 14 games. So prepare yourselves for that, Vikings fans. Isaiah Rodgers and Okudah are kind of in the same bucket here. Rodgers is both of these guys are corners who are looking to play for a starting spot in Brian Flores' defense, and they need their cornerbacks to do their bit. Isaiah Rodgers was a guy that played for the Colts, got suspended due to gambling issues, and Jeff Okudah was a 3rd-round pick in 2020, and he had a terrible start to his career, got injured, was in the Matt Patricia the Lions era. So both of these guys are kind of fighting for their spot. They're kind of outside guys. I think we'll see a potential emergence from Isaiah Rodgers. I'll put him kind of towards the end of that, though. And Jeff Okudah, I mean, there's chance for a redemption here. I'm going to put him kind of at the back end of unlikely. But it is unlikely for someone like that to turn it around this late in his career. The talent's there, but this is the last chance corral for Jeff Okudah, unfortunately. Kyle Williams. I loved him as a player in this draft. He was my wide receiver 4, my 20th ranked player. Great release package, big play threat, great vertical speed, runs hard after the catch. And the Patriots wide receiver core is wide open. I think the only player really on there that would give him a challenge is Stephon Diggs. And at this point in his career, I don't think Diggs is a guarantee to even really give him that much trouble, if I'm being honest with you. Javon Baker, RIP, and also no disrespect to Demario Douglas, who I know is a fan favourite, but Douglas isn't that guy, right? He's a good slot receiver at best. But anyway, Kyle Williams, I think, could be the guy this year, even with Stephon Diggs there. We've got a lot of guys in Breakout. I'm being quite generous here. So I'll put him at the top of emergence just because I'm now getting a bit self-conscious about how many players I've got in the emergence tier. But I think he's going to be good this year. Kyle Williams, I think he's going to be good this year. Travion Henderson, loved him too. The Patriots had my favourite draft class this year. Quick, explosive, big play threat. I think it will be with Ramondre Stevenson, a David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs kind of esque backfield, or at least that's what I hope for, kind of that hammer and that scalpel setup. I think he's going to break out. I think running backs tend to hit the ground running, and I think they're going to use this guy. So I'm going to put him by JJ McCarthy, I think. Drake May, we saw flashes from him last year, not a full-blown breakout, okay? That's why he's here. I think he played incredibly well, relatively, in one of the worst situations I've ever seen a rookie quarterback have to play in. He had a bad offensive line, bad weapons, a coaching staff which got fired after a single year, And he genuinely looked good at points. The Tennessee game, holding onto the ball for like 8 seconds, winning that game. He's got the X factor, he's got the arm, he's got the rushing threat. I think we're going to see Drake May be the quarterback that I thought he could be when he was coming out. And I'm going to put him in on the higher end of a breakout. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 or 9 Drake May is now. I want him in the top 10 when it's all said and done. So we'll see at the end. Tyler Shook, the Saints. Saints fans, you're not going to be good this year. I don't know how to tell this to you. And the problem is with Shook is that, yes, he was drafted the second round. Yes, he's going to be the starting quarterback. But the problem is that he's an older prospect who has an extensive injury history, so actually requires a fair bit of development. And because I don't think the Saints are going to be very good, I think you're going to be in contention to draft a quarterback next year. So I'm not doubting the player here, Tyler Shook. I think he's actually quite a decent player. But I think the Saints aren't going to be good. He's a rookie quarterback and not a good team, so he's going to struggle. And they're just going to draft a quarterback next year. So, despite the fact that I think he's going to be fine as a player, I'll put him at the top end of no, but I just think that for the Saints, at least, the breakout's not going to happen because they're going to just draft an Arch Manning or a Lenoris Sellers or a Cade Klubnik, whoever it's going to be. They're going to be in contention. They're going to have a top 5 pick. Why would you not draft a quarterback? And if you have a top 5 pick, it's because Tyler Shook hasn't been good enough. So inherently, you're going to move on. Talisi Fuanga, first round pick last year, he looked like the real deal. He looks legit. He was not looking to block you. He was looking to delete you from the play. I love that. He's physical. He's violent. It's a yes. God, I'm being generous here. I don't think that's a bad thing. Okay, I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm going to say yes. It's my video. Go away. And I feel really good about Fuanga. I feel better about him than I do Marvin Harrison Jr. Brian Brzee, 2023 first rounder, simply not been good. Let's call a spade a spade. He was awful against the run. He's regularly getting blown out in one-on-one reps. He's ineffective versus the pass. He's got 2 bad years on tape now. We've not even seen flashes from Brzee. Not even a game against backups in week 18 for a team that's already made the playoffs. We've not seen anything. I think his 5th-year option is going to get declined. It's going to be a no. It's a no from me. Abdul Carter. Great first-round pick, insane athlete, great pass rusher with even more room to develop, high motor, aggressive, unbelievable player. He is playing in what could potentially be the best defensive line in football next year. Next to Dexter Lawrence, opposite Brian Burns. How is Abdul Carter not breaking out? Riddle me that. How is Abdul Carter not breaking out? I'm going to put him behind Drake May, though. Might just take, he's only played edge for a year, so that might be why he might not have that massive explosive breakout. But man, come on, he's Abdul Carter. Darius Alexander, same story. Insane defensive line. He's going to benefit from that. Interior pass rusher. He's shown dominant flashes. Yes, played in the MAC, but not going to matter when you're getting 1v1. Next, Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns on one side, Abdul Carter on the other. Darius Alexander can win his one-on-ones. I'm going to say an emergence for Darius Alexander. He won't get the praise because he's not going to be the guy, but we're going to see something from Darius Alexander. Jackson Dart. There is something called the Jackson Dart paradox, where basically, or what I like to call the Jackson Dart paradox, where basically he is not ready to play this year. But if he doesn't play this year and the team is bad, then the current regime, which they could be defense notwithstanding, but offense because of the offense, the current regime is going to get fired then. No one's loyal to him then in the new organization. He's not going to be able to break out. If he does play this year, though, because he's not ready to play this year, he's going to be bad. He needs time to develop. And Dable and Schoen don't have that option, really. They either need him to play right away, or they, for some reason, Russ can kind of be all right, but I just think that the most likely scenario here is that they put in Dart in week 7 to try and save their jobs, and Dart simply isn't ready. And I think both options of Dart not playing and them getting fired anyway, and him playing and them getting fired anyway, all roads lead to them getting fired, I think, because they're not going to make the playoffs. And then Dart is a lame duck quarterback, basically. So I'm going to say no for him as well. I think he's got more of a chance than Tyler Shook, but not much more. On to the Jets. Braylon Allen. 4th rounder in 2024, 6'1", 234 pounds from Wisconsin. That's 35th and 92nd percentile, 35th percentile height and weight, and 92nd percentile in bench press reps. He had 26 bench press reps. He's an absolute ox, this guy. He is built. He's still not even 22. He's young and full of potential. The Jets might move into a committee backfield. Breece Hall's kind of stumbled a little bit. They've got Aaron Glenn there. They've got Tanner Engstrand. The run game, I was going to say the run game is going to be really good with Justin Fields. And he was going to be on this list as well. Turns out he has been carted off today on the 24th of July. He's been carted off from practice. Not a good sign. I'm no doctor. We've not heard what's happened at this point. It happened only an hour or two ago. That's going to hurt Braylon Allen just a little bit in terms of that losing that rushing threat, which Fields, if he is now going to miss significant time, lost. But he's still going to be given his fair share as a rusher. He's young and developing. I think it's a case of maybe a high not yet from Braylon Allen. Maybe just one more year away. They're going to give Breece Hall some more opportunity. If he can't be the guy, then they'll move on from him. Then they'll give Braylon Allen the rock. He's only 22. He's got time. Azareye'h Thomas is the audible I called for Justin Fields at the last moment. He's a physical, outside, press man, cornerback. He's got the length and the play style for it. 2 solid years on tape. He reminded me a lot of Kamari Lassiter in the sense that he is a productive CB2 with tools and isn't going to be the shutdown corner, but he doesn't need to be. You've got Sauce Gardner, who will inevitably positively regress into being a good cornerback again. So I think he's going to be a nice CB2. I think we're going to see he is on the depth chart behind Brandon Stevens, but he played terribly last year, as I said, for the Ravens. So I think he's going to beat him out. So I'll put him at the back end of emergence because it might kind of be in that not yet kind of emerging at the back end of the season kind of vibe, but we'll put him at the back end of emergence. Will McDonald. He was the 15th overall pick in 2023, 61 pressures, 11 sacks last year. Kind of saw a little emergence there. Could we see the full breakout, though, this year? He has an insane spin move. He uses it the most in the NFL at 27.8%, at a rate of 27.8%, and has the second most pressures from the spin move at 10, behind only Aiden Hutchinson. He is a very good pass rusher. He's got great burst, bend, good length, very effective as a pass rusher. I think the Jets' defense, along with Sauce Gardner, as I've said, is going to naturally positively regress. I think they have the talent. They've got Jermaine Johnson healthy, Sauce playing at a better level. If Azareye'h Thomas is that cornerback too, they've got a better player there as well. I think a yes for Will McDonald, considering we already saw. So I'll put him again with these two that have already kind of broken out, but I'll put him in front of them just slightly because it wasn't a full breakout. But we've already seen enough from Brian Thomas Jr. to think that he's going to continue his trend. Jalix Hunt dog walked Joe Thuney in the Super Bowl. 5 pressures, 1 sack on the biggest stage, the Super Bowl. Clearly talented, clearly capable. He has vines for arms. He's explosive. He's quick. He's got lots and lots of potential. He was a backup for Josh Sweat last year, who has now left in free agency. He will have the opportunity in an incredibly talented and strong defense. He's playing in a really strong defensive line with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. He's going to get 1v1s on the edge. I like Jalix Hunt's chance to break out. And I also, in a similar vein with Nolan Smith, it's pretty much the same thing. He looked really good in year 2, struggled a bit as a rookie. But I think Hunt and Smith are going to be a really interesting edge duo when you have such a dominant interior and you've got these kind of like lighter, quicker, bendier guys coming off the edge. Again, I think it's going to, you got to put both of these guys together. When we saw it already last season, you've got to expect they'll pick up where they left off. And the Eagles defense is going to continue to be elite. Again, in the same vein, Jihad Campbell, another Eagles defensive player, 31st overall pick this year. He just ticks every box you want from a linebacker. He's got the size, the speed, the versatility. He can run, he can cover the pass. He is a do-it-all 3-down linebacker. And I think he can be an impact starter out the box, but it's hard for linebackers to really just be amazing straight away. Again, linebackers get picked on in modern passing attacks. I think yes, of course, the Eagles made Zach Bourne look like an All-Pro, or not look like an All-Pro, made Zach Bourne be an All-Pro in my books. But I think it's just going to take him a little bit longer. But I think it will definitely be an emergence. And I feel kind of pretty good about Campbell being a good player. Roman Wilson, the Steelers. He is a player who missed basically the whole of last season last year due to injury. He played like 6 snaps or something crazy low. He is explosive, he's quick, he's got good route running ability, he's got good hands. He only needs to beat out one of Robert Woods or Calvin Austin to be a potential starter in that offense. I think that's doable. He's got an injury history which is going to kind of drag him down. Aaron Rodgers is big on chemistry with his wide receivers. Is Rowan Wilson going to click with him? Almost definitely not. They don't really rookie receivers, well, not rookie receivers, but inexperienced receivers don't really tend to. I mean, he had issues with Garrett Wilson last year, who I think is fantastic. Something will happen. I just don't think it's going to be this year for Roman Wilson. I think there's a potential of something there, but I don't really see it this year. Caleb Johnson, though, on the other hand, is the perfect fit for this offense in their run game. He is perfect with that Arthur Smith outside zone heavy offensive system. He's a smooth mover, one-cut runner, got the stature of a bell cow. He's got great vision and anticipation. I think he will hit the ground running. And I think he's going to see the opportunity to do so. I just don't know how good the Steelers are going to be as an offense, really, is what's giving me pause. So I'm going to put him at the high end of emergence. You never know what you get with Arthur Smith, and with Aaron Rodgers, who knows? Derek Harmon, though. He was their first round pick this year. He's a good pass rusher. He had 55 pressures from the interior defensive line position. That was first among all the people in this class from that position. Strong versus the run, high motor. He's gone to a perennially strong Steelers defense. Getting a learn from Cam Hayward. Going to play next to TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. I think it just might, again, take a little bit of time for him to be the guy, but I'm going to kind of put them... he's a little bit less of a certain emergence for me with Caleb Johnson, but I think he's going to emerge this year. I think he's going to clearly be a good player. Steelers fans, we can be friends again. The 49ers, Ricky Pearsall. He was the 31st overall pick last year. He missed time due to being shot through the chest, unfortunately. Still, managed to return by week 7. And your co-worker's calling in sick. Not much to speak of until week 2, though. He had over 200 receiving yards in those last 2 games and 2 touchdowns. He's going to be starting this year with Deebo Samuel gone. Ayuk might miss some time at the start of the season with injury, potentially. He could be the guy in those weeks. We saw Jawan Jennings be the guy in the absence of those two in that season. And it's a great offensive system. I think they've got a strong quarterback in Brock Purdy, who I think is really emerging to be a great quarterback in the league. I think the team clearly loves him to draft him as early as they did in the first round. He's shifty, he's effective as a route runner, great versus press. You can line him up at X or in the slot. And they did that already in the limited time he played last year. I think he's poised for a big year. I think he is going to be another yes. Put him in there with Jalen Null. I think they're quite similar in that regard. Isaac Guerendo, backup running back drafted in the 4th round last year. Christian McCaffrey went down, but it was Jordan Mason that got the most of the backup role. He has legit 4.3 speed, though. My God. Lightning quick. And we've seen what A-Chain has done with his speed in a similar offensive system. They come from the same offensive tree. The 49ers will likely, I suspect, want to manage Christian McCaffrey's workload. It's better to have McCaffrey playing 75% of the downs than having him play 90% of them but can only be available for 4 weeks or whatever it might be. So I suspect they're going to manage his workload a bit, and I think Guerendo could be the guy that picks that up. However, they did also draft Jordan James in the 5th. They signed Corey Kinner, and I also quite like Israel Abanikanda as well, who was on the Jets, drafted from Pitt, I believe, a few years ago. Through a competition... It could be Guerendo. And also, you never know what Shanahan's going to do with his running backs, man. Trey Sermon, lest we forget. Thought that guy was going to be the next big thing. He wasn't. It could be Guerendo, but I think there's a lot in the way at the moment. So I'm going to say not yet for Guerendo. I think the talent is there, but I just don't really think it's going to be his year this year. Michael Williams, the 11th overall pick for the 49ers. I was lower on him than consensus. He was my 21st ranked player. He has really high upside, incredibly toolsy. His arms brush the ground when he walks. Great against the run. He's a developing pass rusher. He's versatile. I just think he's quite far from the finished product. And I think he could, though, be one of those players that is oddly better in the NFL than he was at college because Georgia lined him up all over the place. It's hard to kind of really get a feel for a position. He was lined up almost in between, like almost as a nose tackle at some points for Georgia. They lined up as a wide 9. I just put him at defensive end, have him rushing opposite Nick Bosa. And I think he could be that guy, but I just don't think it's going to be this year. I'll put him... I like these 3 at the top here. For not yet. I think Michael Williams is very talented, though. Elijah Arroyo, almost there. 2nd round pick from Miami. He has the potential as a dynamic receiving tight end. Could be that kind of like power slot player, if you will. Surprisingly nimble, good hands. But he's a very limited sample size kind of player. Only 46 total career receptions and was over 4 uncontested catches. So he's very much an on paper kind of guy. But the Seahawks clearly love him. They cut Noah Fant. It's going to be his job already. And it's going to be put to good use in Clint Kubiak's offense, which I think will have a lot of crossers, a lot of things that will help tight ends produce. A second-year tight end hitting the ground running will give a nod to an emergence, I think, a small emergence for Elijah Arroyo. Byron Murphy, though, he was played out of position for much of last year. I loved him coming out. Had a little bit of a disappointing year, not because he wasn't good, but because he wasn't playing in the position he plays. He played kind of as a nose tackle, really. He was lined up kind of inside outside rather, the guard or whatever. Basically, in between the guard and the center is where he would often line up, and that's kind of more the nose tackle area. I know his interior defensive line can often be grouped into one, but it's very, very different. Really, what he should be playing is 3-tech, which is in between the guard and the tackle. Yeah, it's quite similar in terms of the alignment, but it kind of changes the entire nature of the position. And according to him, he's playing more 3-tech this year, his actual position. So I think he's going to be a definite breakout candidate. I think we could see like a Pro Bowl level season from Byron Murphy. So we're going to put Byron Murphy in. We've got a lot of breakout players. No, I think he is going to break out. I think he's going to break out. So I'm being positive. I'm not a hater of these players. I think he's going to break out. Got to scroll down, though, now for our players. Gray Zabel. I loved him. He was my 22nd ranked player. He's a great fit, great pick for the Seahawks. He was the best pure interior offensive lineman in this class. I know like Will Campbell could be pushed inside and then that would kind of get around that. But as a pure guy that was always going to play inside, he was my number one. I think he was so damn good. He can play all 5 positions if he needed to. He can win incredibly from the inside. Question is really for Zabel. Not for Zabel. The question is around Zabel is, how will the rest of the offensive line fare? I like him and Charles Cross at left guard and left tackle, respectively. Oluwatimi at center, Christian Haynes at right guard, and Abraham Lucas at right tackle. I'm worried those 3 are going to undermine the left side. So I think we'll see an emergence from Zabel, but the offensive line as a whole might just take a year to really kind of get there, we'll say. Jalen McMillan. He was the 3rd round pick from Washington last year. He struggled for most of the season, but from week 14, 15 onwards, he actually looked pretty good. I think, though, with McMillan, he just simply is a better high-end wide receiver 3 than he is a full-blown wide receiver 2, which kind of explains the Igbukah pick a bit more, which I'll talk about in a second. But he's kind of now buried on the depth chart. He's got Evans, Godwin, Igbukah ahead of him. He's not going to necessarily compete with all 3 of those guys. He's going to play the Z role, but yeah, it's going to be tough to get on the field fundamentally. So I'm going to put him in unlikely. With that kind of Keon. And I think we've seen more from him than Keon Coleman. So we'll put him ahead of Keon Coleman. America Igbukah, the Bucs' 1st round pick this year, really talented, very high floor player, precise route runner, experience, good hands, great against zone. Not great, though, against man, average long speed. I wasn't in love with Igbukah like other people were. And I kind of don't really understand, to a degree, kind of where he fits in this offense. Now, obviously, it kind of just future-proofs the receiver position for Mike Evans, who is no spring chicken, and for Chris Godwin, who is also not getting any younger. So Igbukah will kind of play a wide receiver 3 role, but not the 3rd best. He's going to kind of be a 2A, 2B with Chris Godwin. I think he's a good player. I just think there's too many mouths to feed in that offense. You've got Bucky Irving, you've got Chris Godwin, you've got Mike Evans who's going to get 1,000 yards, presumably again. I think it's a case of a not yet with America Igbukah, up there with Michael Williams, up there with Braylon Allen, up there with Kenneth Grant. Jacob Parrish, massive my guy, my 48th ranked player. And what I said was this. I'll read a verbatim about what I said in his draft as my bottom line on his draft profile. Very high risk, high reward player, but a play style I love, and I think he can play inside or outside with his skill set. I think he'll compete for a starting role. I think that is still true now. I think he has to compete for that slot cornerback role. I don't think it will necessarily happen immediately or maybe even this season, but I think it's coming. I'm putting him at the top end of not yet as well. I think it's coming. I think Jacob Parrish is going to be a good player. Cam Ward. Has a first overall pick quarterback been spoken about less than Cam Ward? And I think we all really know the answer to that question. It is no, and we'll know the reason why. It's because he's not the usual QB1 caliber, unfortunately. It's got nothing to do with him. I actually think he's a player that was worth taking with the first overall pick, but he just simply isn't a Caleb Williams. He isn't even a Drake May or a Trevor Lawrence. He's not like the clear-cut QB1. It's just simply there was no one else that you could really compete with. And the problem is with Cam Ward, despite me liking the player, I genuinely do, and I say it again, I think it was right to take him first overall. If you can upgrade at quarterback, you should. But he's got a tough start to his career. He's got Denver week 1. That's a loss. Rams week 2. Colts week 3. Texans week 4. Those first 4 weeks, I think they're probably going to go 0-4. And those are going to be some strong defenses, some good opponents. It's going to be hard for a young rookie quarterback to build confidence when you're 0-4. And you're playing against the Broncos in week 1. That is, good grief. The schedule makers have done Cam Ward dirty with that one. And I think the roster generally for the Titans is weak. I don't like the pass rush. I think the offensive line is good, so he won't be running for his life, but I think he's going to make rookie mistakes. It's not going to be this year. It's not going to be this year, I think. And I feel pretty confident about that for Cam Ward. Now, last 5. J.C. Latham. 7th pick in 2024. I thought he was overdrafted, but after a few weeks, I was ready to do a victory lap. But he actually turned out to be a very good player. I think he is going to be the real deal. I think offensive tackles don't really break out, but I think relative to offensive tackle trajectories, I think he will. So I'm going to put him, again, this is where Breakout is, just so we're all together. I'm going to put him at the back end of Breakout, because I think he is really good now, actually. I like Ayamano as well, man. I really liked him. Cooked Travis Hunter a few years ago. All he's got to do is beat out Van Jefferson. You got to do that. Come on, man. Emergence. Definite emergence for Elok Ayamano. Again, I think the offense is going to struggle. He's not going to get like loads of opportunities. They're going to be... Cam Ward is going to have the rookie mistakes, etc., etc. But I think we're going to see something from Elok Ayamano 100%. And I feel pretty confident about that. I'll put him ahead of AD Mitchell. Final team. Almost there. If you've made it all this way, I appreciate you. Do subscribe for more content. Jacory Groski-Merritt. This is Bucky Irving for me. He is a relatively unknown prospect. He didn't play at all last year. There was eligibility issues, but I love his potential in this Washington backfield. He's creative. He just sees the field differently from other running backs. He sees holes which doesn't exist yet. He has good acceleration. He's got Brian Thomas Jr., Austin Eckler, and Joe McNichols ahead of him on the depth chart. I think he can beat those guys. It's going to take a while, so it's going to be a not yet for me. But I think he could be. It's a bit more of a long shot, but I think he could be one of the running backs who become from relative obscurity into being kind of a household name. Because I think he has that in him to be that good. Mikey Sainer still, second-year player. I thought great slot corner coming out. Loved him coming out of Michigan. The issue with Sainer still, though, last year was that because of the cornerback issue with Emmanuel Forbes, he played outside cornerback. He's like 5'9", 5'10". He's a slot corner. Now with Trey Amos there, now with Marshawn Lattimore there, now with Jonathan Jones there, two of those three guys are going to play the 2 outside cornerback spots. Sainer still can move back into nickel. Emergence. Definite emergence for Mikey Sainer still. Great player. Absolutely loved him. A real my guy in the draft. I feel good about him. And last, but certainly not least, Luke McCaffrey. 3rd round pick last year. Should be a starter this year. You can see him being that kind of shifty slot receiver, quarterback's best friend. You guys know the drill. Won't be a breakout, though. He's not going to get 1,000 yards. But again, we'll see something from Luke McCaffrey. We'll say a slight emergence from him. So here are then, on the screen in all its glory, my breakout list. We'll quickly go over who I think will be my top 10, my most likely breakout candidates. 1, we have Trot Robinson. 2, Ashton Genty. 3, Caleb Williams. 4, Michael Penix. 5, Edgerrin Cooper. 6, Travis Hunter. 7, Amarian Hampton. 8, Drake May. 9, Abdul Carter. 10, Malachi Starks, with then Nate Wiggins, Ted McMillan, Colson Loveland, etc. You can see it on the screen now, but those are the guys that I think are going to be the most likely. And do not forget my Daniel Jones shout. Do not forget it. If that doesn't happen, I'm going to pretend I never said it. But I was right about Sam Darnold last year. I think I'm going to be right about Daniel Jones this year. But if you enjoyed this video at all, if you watched it for, I think it's going to be quite a long one. If you watched it for any length of time at all, I massively appreciate you. Please do subscribe for more NFL content. Please like the video, leave a comment. Do you agree or disagree with anything I've put, any players I've said? I'm sure there'll be a lot of disagreeing in the comments. But I've been our host, Dom Corbs. This has been Corbs NFL. I'll see you on the next video.